get right on into it. This is how we do things. It's going to be a very free-form discussion.
Sure.
I'm going to ask questions.
Yep.
You'll answer them. We'll tell some good stories, some embarrassing stories
Absolutely.
if you have them.
Sure.
We'll do let all the juice out, spill the tea, as they say.
Consider it done.
All right, fantastic. Well, here we are. It is a lovely mid-temperature Sunday afternoon in Millvale, Pennsylvania, and I am joined today by 3/5 of the band Stereo Scandal. Make some noise for the internet. Woo! Appreciate you being on here today. I've never spoken to humans before in my life, sorry. Another episode of Start the Beat podcast, aka Strangers in My Basement. Thanks for coming by.
Sure, thanks for having us.
Of course. So for anybody out there in the internet land that is not familiar with your band, give me the pitch. Pretend like I'm a hotshot record executive.
So, Cassie here, I think she sums it up the best as undefinable rock. I think our music is, heavily influenced by a lot of different bands over many genres, but it's sort of, there is punk in there is alternative rock, there is some funk in there is some pop, but it's really kind of difficult to determine what that sounds like to put it into a genre, because we've all been playing instruments for 30, 40 years, apart from Cassie, who's the baby. And so I think over the time of being influenced from 70s and 80s and 90s, it's just got this vibe. So undefinable rock is probably the answer to that question.
Totally. I find that there's a really interesting sort of phenomena that happened with rock music, I'll say post 2000s.
Sure.
Where I think the hyperfixation subgenre seemed to become a thing in terms of like how music is marketed and promoted. It has to be a very specific thing, but I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, and like I remember it wasn't that weird to have interests in all of these different styles of music, different styles of rock. MTV would play all different things, and it was just, this is just rock music, there's one section at the CD store, rock.
Yep.
Right. And now, we don't even have CD stores anymore, but if we did, it would be like, oh, here's the shoegaze section, here's the post-punk section, here's this. It's, I don't know.
For me, I would say that we don't even put ourselves in a genre. Yeah. We really don't. Like, the music is the music, and the only rule that we have as a band is, when we're writing stuff, if all of us are in agreement, then it makes it. And if one of us just doesn't sit right, it doesn't make sense, if something's off, then we stop. And we're at that point now where there's no drama, there's no sort of heated conversations. It's just, does it make sense? Does it work?
Totally.
And if you listen to our first album compared to our next two EPs,
they're all very different.
Totally different. And, the engineer, could say when he heard the new stuff, I know it's you, but wow, it's even different from the last one, which to us is the best compliment we can get.
Sure. And I think that there was another thing. Like, I remember when, there's still bands that do this, but a lot of bands used to be like from album to album, like, what the hell is this? But in a fun way,
Sure. Now
it's like a lot of artists put out music and it's more of the same. And I think a lot of that is because, well, you got to give the people what they want and what sold last time and blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of boring.
That gets boring.
Yeah.
Definitely I'd say that gets boring because it's like, we did this, now let's do something different. You really want to mix it up and experiment and see what we can do as a band, as musicians.
Of course, it's like, what is the point of, it's like a traveling in a way. We're like sonic travelers. And like, sure, you have places that you've been, places that you enjoy going, metaphorically, songs you like to write. You're good at that. I like this place, but why not go somewhere new, experience new things? And I think it's the only way to really grow as a musician is to keep trying new things and to learn different styles of music. You learn different things about yourself as a player when you challenge yourself, I think, by trying new things rather than writing the same song over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say as well, because of, particularly Chad, and who's our bass player, and Dave, obviously, on guitars, their knowledge of music plays an insane part, I think, because they just see, I think I know a good amount, and so does Cassie and Tammy, but they can just pull a lick and just be like, oh, that's from that. And I'm like, don't know. And then my bass player, Chad, gets angry with me because I was born in England and didn't get to the States until 32, that I don't know the whole history of American music. And I'm like, but I wasn't here and it didn't make it to England. But going back to what I said before, they just have an insane sort of musical library to kind of pull from and draw, and that sounds good and that sounds good. So we tend to have this vast sort of library of sound that we can pull from.
Of course.
But then when we write, the way that we write, I think, is, crazy. And this credits Cassie here, because some of our songs, it could be just a drum beat, or it is a bass line, or it is a lick, or it is just something. And all of a sudden the music's going, everything's happening. Cassie's just sat there with a book of magic, just sitting on the floor innocently. And then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, okay, I've got it. Got the verse, got the chorus, we're good. And we just sat there going, wait, what happened? So one of our songs called Book of Magic is because of that, because literally she just sits there just sort of doing a thing, and then all of a sudden the song is born. And sometimes that's done in, 1 or 2 practices. Sometimes it's done over months of practice. But the reality is we're kind of creating this thing that happens very organically and very sort of without pressure.
Of course.
And then Chad, our bass player, we call him the director, because he will then start to construct that song in a way that we're all like, oh God, here we go. Because it's going to get complicated. It's going to get more involved. But the frustrating part is that he's normally right, which really pisses me off. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, you were right.
It's whatever he says. I have an idea. And we're all like, all right, hang on. Here we go.
Yeah, you have to like live for those moments though, right? Like that's anytime I'm in a creative setting and someone's like, I got an idea, I'm like, great.
Yeah, you gotta flow with it.
I mean, it's better than the alternative, which is like, I'm not feeling inspired by this at all. It's my worst nightmare, right?
Yeah. I want to add 2 things to that.
Of course.
Number, first, I'm really impressed with you, Cassie, because we don't really bother her. Like, she does her own music department. She has her own vocal department, and I know you collaborate with Tammy. But like when we're putting the music together, it's like the 4 of us kind of building it up, and Cassie has that part too. But when she does the lyrics, we really don't bother her. She's able to create the melodies and the lyrics on her own, and I give her a lot of credit to be able to do that.
I feel like
really
consistent. Come from such different musical backgrounds. Like we have technical people, and then I'm not trained really whatsoever. I've done like theater a bit through like high school and stuff, but I don't know. And then,
but what you do is amazing.
Me the space to like create with you when I like don't even know what key we're in is like really cool. Yeah. And
she always pulls it. Yeah, and she always pulls out these amazing vocals, and you never quite hear it until you record, because like in practice you're doing your own thing, and then we get recorded. And I'm like, damn, that's good.
Hell yeah.
And for Dan, I know he says like he's a little, he has a certain way of playing that reminds me of a lot of the bands that I love to listen to. So like I give him a lot of credit that he's right in the mix with what makes us work.
Hell
so
yeah.
you gotta give the dude credit. He knows what he's doing. Whether he wants to.
We're the pop stars of the band.
We got to do 2 things real quick. I'm going to slide this mic so it's a little bit more in front of the face there.
Yeah.
You can actually, the whole arm will bend. So let's
like that.
Rotate it all the way that way. Then boom.
Perfect.
Love it. Great. All right, cool. So one question I have, kind of, I guess, bringing this conversation back to the beginning of the band. I'm curious about the origins in terms of style. I mean, obviously we were going to do a guitar-driven rock band. I imagine that was the idea. But like the first songs that this band was writing, like what was the style and how does that
we tossed them out?
How does that AB with like what the band's doing now?
So for the beginning, it was my project that I wanted to start, and I found Chad first, and I really wanted a heavy thing. We were big into Jawbox and Hum, in that kind of genre. So because I had been in another Pittsburgh band about 10, 15 years back, and that was more towards indie, and we tried to do a little shoegazy type stuff. But so we were planning to do something kind of heavy, and then we went looking for singers, and there were a couple of different possibilities, and we saw Cassie.
This is all through Craigslist.
All through Craigslist, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And I knew about Dan because Dan and Chad are brother-in-laws, but Chad's like, he's not going to want to play anything heavy. He doesn't like heavy music. So we're not even going to bother to ask him. All right, whatever. So we had a couple different singers, and we liked Cassie because, and she had a video. It just pegged us as different. We liked the style that like what she had done. She had said she didn't have a lot of experience, but something about her personality and just what she was doing, I was like,
it was like 5-10 second clips from
was
like
cool.
different TikTok videos of me singing.
It was just something that I was like, I want to see what this is like. And so we brought her in, and it really was kind of redirected us as let's do what fits with what she can do or wants to do. So it became more around the vocals and the styles. And like we said, it ebbs and flows of different styles.
I feel like we do still have like heavy influences at times because I do. I like to sing loud and I like to belt, and that fits the heavy vibe. And we got some like heavy rock sometimes, but also we're like pretty melodic too. And I think we kind of vibe in that way and bring like more of a pop catchy side to like the rock vibes.
They complement each other.
Yeah.
It's not too heavy, it's not too pop, and there's sort of everything in between.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that, and Chad tells this story better than us, is that he was right, because I wouldn't play anything heavy. It's just not my jam. Like, I respect it. I have an appreciation for how difficult it is as a drummer to play in that genre, but it's just not something that I want to do all the time.
But he does it sometimes.
I'll do it occasionally, just keep the peace.
But I think there's an enjoyment to it, because we're not doing straight heavy. We're doing stuff that fits the vibe.
Sure.
With us.
There's a finesse to it.
Yeah.
There's definitely like a thought process that goes into it, because if it does get too heavy or I feel it's too much, then I will say something, because I'm always serving the song. As a drummer, I'm like, give Cassie as much room as I can. Give the guitars the room they can. Nobody needs to see the drummer going nuts. To me, it's keep that rhythm, keep the time in, keep it simple. Yeah, there's pockets to kind of do the stuff that suit the song. But to me, it's more about driving that in a way that, makes people want to move. And again, less is more in my world, for sure. But then we got together, the four of us, before Tammy joined, and it was really just that we kind of came away from that heavier scene, and then sort of found very quickly that with Cassie's voice and the melodies and just the harmonies and the simplicity of the voice, that we could kind of make it our own. And so for the first year, maybe,
it really was.
I think pretty much a month or two before we tried to get on stage, Tammy joined us.
Okay.
We had most of our first album finished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I give Tammy credit for coming in and like, well, here's what we got.
She had some awesome parts, some awesome vocals.
She did. She really
songs.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you talked about the origins. Like the first 3 or 4 songs we trashed. I think a couple of them were written solely by Chad, and we were still finding ourselves. And he even joked, he's like, "Don't let me write by myself." And that we became more collaborative after that point, and I think that's where the songs started really coming together.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and we struggled. We actually we were trying to have a second guitarist, and we had 2 misfires, and we were at the point of like, well, let's do this a 4-piece, finish our CD, get to go play some shows, and we'll eventually get the 5th one. And then I saw Tammy had stepped out of her one band. And I was like, guys, I know we kind of stopped on this, but it's like, we should probably get this girl before somebody else does. Mm-hmm. Because I had seen her band, and I kind of knew her, and she had played in a band with my former drummer from another band. So I was aware of her. And I was like, yeah, we should probably give her, see if she wants to do it. And it wasn't even an audition. It's like, hey, does she want to come on board and, put her 2 cents in or 30 cents,
For sure.
And she was the cherry on the cake.
She really was. Yeah.
And that changed everything, because it just, vocally, it changed everything. She's an epic guitarist and does downstrokes like I've never seen before, and just has that ability just to kind of, she doesn't say much, but when she does, it has impact. Mm-hmm. And that sort of really changed the sound of, to what we have today. And I would say in this last EP that we just recorded, it's equal collaboration. Like, there's not one person that is leading more or dropping back. Mm-hmm. We're all equally contributing, adding the same value, which I think is part of the success.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's really awesome whenever you're able to get a group of people together that actually want to be on the same team. We've all played in bands over time, and I'm sure we've been on teams with not some team players, is a way I could put it. So it's nice that you found a team and
Yeah.
everybody's working towards that common goal of like what is going to serve the song the best. It's like this isn't, my talent show. This is our thing, right?
At the end of the day, we just do this for the love of music. Like this isn't, we know we're not going to sign record deals. We know we're not going to go on a tour. We're happy we typically pay it about once a month, around the city. And whether there's 10 people in there or there's 1,000 people, same energy, same level of commitment, same love for the song. And, we're not chasing the dollars here. Like if we make enough money to cover the beer, perfect. We are good. But,
priority.
It's just a fun project that we really enjoy. And, we typically practice once a week. And, there's a serious commitment to that, but we have fun. But at the same time, we're not, when people see us, the general reaction is, oh, you're good. Like, like you turned up. And that to us is the greatest compliment we can get.
We do practice pretty
because
hard.
we work hard. We work hard, and we're not trying to say that we're better than any other band. Far from it. But we're saying that we're committed to turning up and doing the job right and delivering the best that we can.
Sure.
And every set we get stronger and better. But we're there to have fun, and that's the goal here. But we do have a high level of professionalism.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and I relate to that. A lot of times, I've played shows with people, and people will be really sweet, just like, hey, like it's crazy how tight you guys are, and it's like, well,
exactly.
Why would we show up? Why would we drag our gear all the way across town to embarrass ourselves? I mean, don't get me wrong. The beer money's coming a little bit early, and I've certainly embarrassed myself on stage.
Listen,
don't get me wrong, but
we've been there.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah,
but and I think that there is a thing where just because you're taking something seriously doesn't mean you can't also have fun.
100%.
And some people don't get that, and this isn't that doing this kind of stuff really isn't for everybody. It's a ridiculous mountain to try to climb, even if your aspirations are like, hey, it's whatever. We're gonna play locally with our friends once a month, get together once a week, hang out, have some beers, keep it simple. It's still a lot of work, and a lot of people
for sure
don't want to do that.
No, and that's okay. And for me, the greatest compliment we can get when, and I've had this a few times where people have turned up that I've known, come to the show and they were like, I wasn't expecting you to be really good, but you're really good. And I'm like, cool. Like that's, it's, and I'm not
we exceeded your expectations.
Not offended by that, because at the end of the day, you're going to go and tell another 10 people how good we were. Great. But again, we're trying to do this for the love of music. And for me, I've taught drums, I've played in cover bands, and I've done everything, in between. But I've never been in a band that has this creativity, this level of like, you can kind of go wherever you want to go. And that to me is the creative outlet I never knew I needed until I was in this. And that's to me, a really cool part that maybe not everybody sees. They see the end product when we're on stage and the song's done and everything's good, but how do we get there is also a big fun part of the journey.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of work too. I mean, you've mentioned now at this point that you have recorded and released several EPs, right?
That's one full album, 2 EPs.
It's a ton of fucking work.
Sure.
Just to like write a song, to learn it, to go record it, and then you're all in the room together and you learn that maybe somebody hasn't been playing the song right the whole time, and then they got to relearn the fucking song, and you're paying for them to relearn the songs. They're in the fucking studio. But all that is the bigger picture of things that the majority of people don't see.
No.
And but if you're somebody that is into just being in on the journey and here for the ride, it's like the kind of the stuff that you live for. It's like I'm here to be frustrated in the studio. I'm here to be, on a stage playing in front of however many people. Like, this is what I love doing. It's not about like the bigger picture of things. I've been in some situations where it has been a bigger picture and it's not as fun. Right. You kind of miss the like intimacy of being a part of a community, which is like something that I think a lot of people maybe sometimes unfortunately take for granted. Is that, like, we have a really cool thing here, and I'm sure other cities have that too, where it's like we have these people that are friends that are very talented, that we get to work on our little art things together, and then we get to hang out and show each other and meet new people and hang out with all the people that still want to be degenerate freak weirdos hanging out at the dive bar till 2 a.m. It's great.
I mean, we did a show last week. We did a show last week, and the first band were great, and then we played, and then there was a record release for the third. But we liked the first. We'd never seen the first band before.
Yeah.
They had a kind of similar vibe to us, all solid musicians. They ended up, we're doing a show with them now in June. And that just sort of happened, like, oh, we like you and you like us, and the vibe is very similar. So you've got a show coming up, can you do it? Sure. How cool is that we can do a show together without knowing another band, have a similar vibe and a similar sound.
And immediately pick up on that.
Yeah, and just, the way that they write and their sort of ability to kind of go towards songs is very similar to ours. And we've not found that. Like, what we found is when we've played with other bands, they're sort of in their lane and they're very good at what they're doing.
And we're kind of leaning into those micro niches that are a part of our music, maybe for like a certain punk show or an alternative more show. But even though we might not be totally in that vein for that show the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that happened, which was, that's a cool thing. Going back to what you said, is sort of the same people with the same mindset going into that, not worrying about, ticket sales or how much merch do we sell, or, it's just, was the set good? Cool. Do we have fun? Great.
Yeah. And I think
the next one.
And that's having that mindset and that energy going into events and being willing to make connections with other people is what really makes everything grow, like from like a whole like bird's eye view. That's what makes the neighborhood blossom. But on like a more like person to person sort of thing, I think that's what makes it worth it for all of us to still be doing this, because like, as we've said, we're not getting any richer, we're not getting any younger. You can throw all of that stuff out the window. It ain't happening. Well, never say never. Who knows? But, for the most part, it's like you need to be coming at this, I think, from the mindset of like, I am here with a positive mindset to work on stuff that I love doing and make friends and be a positive force of like this 3-4 hour event at this location. Just worry about that. Like the rest of the world doesn't matter. Like whatever's outside that fucking door doesn't 100%. Matter that night,
Like
and
that, we live for the gigs, right? Whether we're playing to 100 people at Poetry, or last year we did Jogles a couple of times. We opened for Flock of Seagulls. There were 700 people. We opened for Lita Ford. There were, I think, 600-700 people there, and it was great. But it's the same thing. No matter where we play, we just live for that gig, because it's just another opportunity to, play a new song that maybe we haven't played live, or switch that setup to do it completely different. So maybe if people have come to previous shows and they see this show, it's a completely different show, because we've got this catalog songs now as we continue to grow and write. Now it becomes difficult to make the set list, because we sort of, for a longest time, we had...
You're still playing 25-minute sets.
Right.
How many songs are right?
So now we got to be like, we can't play that. We've got to drop this one. But great problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the era that, we live in now, being in a band, it's really easy to kind of... depending on what your intentions are as a band, outside of the creative side of things, if we lean into the more business marketing side of things, like getting onto shows is one thing, like being able to make the connections that you need to be able to open up for Flock of Seagulls or Lita Ford, that's, you send a few emails and don't be an asshole and you can get those opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. But like growing outside of that, like how you take that fan base, those people that might be at those shows, and get them to show up at Poetry is a whole nother can of worms, right? And a lot of that, how do you do that these days? A lot of people utilize the internet. There's really not much else to do. How do we all feel about being on the internet in 2026 as creatives?
You got to do it.
You have to embrace it.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, what other platforms are there? I mean, yeah, you could do word of mouth. Yeah, you could do flyers. Yeah, you could, post whatever. But if you aren't on all the social media platforms, it's almost difficult because there's no other platform for it to be on. So, I wouldn't say that we have, like a website or anything that we're really promoting, but we're pretty heavy on social media for promotions and promoting shows and promoting other bands that are in our shows. Or if we're going to go, if we're going to, like last week's show, it was their record release. So we'll promote that more so than us.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, you should come to this night and check us out. But also, this band is on or this band is on. But
I think it's a respect too that I love that we do that, because we'll post like somebody else's video for the show we're on, and it's like you're promoting everybody, and you want everybody to have a good enjoy the show and all the bands.
Mm-hmm. With the way that the internet works, so many times I talk to people about people that aren't in bands. I love So hey, say we're at I'm at the bar with my friends. Be like, what do you do? Like, oh, I play in a couple bands. I do this and that. Like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, you ever go out to any local shows? It's like, oh, I don't really know about anything. And it's like, well, why not? It's like, well, I don't see it. It's like, well, what do I have to do to get you, not the band people? Band people is easy, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like what are just people that aren't musicians or people that aren't involved in it. It's not that they're not interested, they just don't know about it.
Right.
So how do you tell them about it? And then on top of that, how do you make it like an inviting environment for them to feel comfortable to go out to a place? You'll get people that are just like, oh, I don't know, I feel weird about going to this bar that I've never been to in a neighborhood I'm not familiar with, and it's tricky.
No,
but there's a lot of I'm trying to be like a lot more focused now, especially coming into the start of this new year, because I really haven't played any shows this year, but that's changing next month. It's starting to pick back up. Right. And like figuring out like, how can I target, I hate sounding like a fucking business guy, but like, how do I get these people, how do I make it more inviting for them? How do I invite people out to the show and make them feel like without me coming off as like annoying,
right?
But making like, hey, I want you to be a part of this thing. And it's tricky. How do you build that community?
Well,
I do think sometimes, depending on like where you're going to be, what day of the week it is, what the vibe of the show is, like you can promote that to different people. Like you have a lot of coworkers that like to come to shows. They might not want to come to like a dive bar on a Thursday night.
Sure.
That's not going to happen.
They'll go to Jurgles. Get the chicken bacon ranch sandwich in between sets. Right.
And I have a lot of family that comes to shows, but like I don't always tell them about everything all the time. I mean, we're not going to oversaturate everybody that we know with every show that we have. And I think when they know they're going to be at a venue that feels inviting and is maybe more their vibe, or maybe the other bands are more their vibe also, then that'll get them coming more and then bringing their friends. And
it's a slow process.
I think you have to choose what shows make sense for the people that you know, or the people that you can get there.
Sure.
To a certain extent.
You also
because
have to...
it is a business, but it's not a business, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, the only reason that you want more people there, certainly for us as a band, is not ticket sales. I promise you, it's atmosphere, it's a good time, it's the ability to just have a great night.
Of course.
But at the same time, there's certain shows that I'm like, I know I can bring more to that show than this show. And that's not picking one over the other because it's right or wrong. That's just because as an experience, they're going to have a better time at that show.
Yeah, you think
because of the bands or the venue or the, if you're taking somebody to Jurgles versus poetry, totally different vibe. It's not bad or good. It's just, it depends on what their experience is as a listener. Like, are they hardcore and they don't care about the loud noise and hot as hell and they're just there for the love of the music, or do they want to be in this nice AC big venue, great food? They can tell their friends and they come. And so I think
Bret Michaels played here.
Yeah.
It's the real place.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, it's you as like I think one of the fortunate things that you probably have now that you've been a band for a while is like, what shows you should or shouldn't play based on those types of factors and based on your fans. Like there's like, there's certain venues that my bands won't play. And it's not for any reason other than, look, I just know where the people that like us live. And there's always an opportunity to make new fans. And maybe that's why you should play those rooms. But also you have experience and like, this just doesn't make sense.
Well,
like, it just doesn't like, I think a lot of it too, for me, maybe is like, I'm not the oldest person in the world, but like I know a lot of people that know my band, a lot of people that are friends with me are all in their 30s, maybe more. A lot of them don't want to go to like the Mr. Roboto project.
Right.
And like, I love that space, but it's just like, and I'm not saying I'm too old to play there, but I just know that if I'm playing there and I'm inviting my friends, like, where's the show at Roboto? Where's it? Like it's maybe.
Well, and a lot
versus
of times
poetry, they're probably going to come.
Yeah. I mean, we do get asked a lot of times and whether it's Chad or Tammy or one of us, when we get asked, it goes straight to the band. Are we doing this or are we not? Does this make sense? Is it good? Is it not good? And there's a lot of factors. What night is it? Who are we competing against?
Totally.
Because that's the other thing that we run into a lot whenever we're doing that show. If there's a huge artist in town and everyone's going to go to that, then that's not that it changes the, but it's a consideration you have to think about. Same as if we're going to do, an album release or an EP release. We're looking at doing that in the summer. That's got to make sense on that date and that venue and that person, because you want to make sure that you're putting the best night you can to promote that release and you can get the most people there. So I think it's become a lot more complex to get it right. That's not to say we won't, give it 100% effort to pull it off. Yeah. But there is a lot of thought that goes into it, to answer your question.
There's a little bit of a moving target too recently too, because there's been venues that have closed and reopened under new ownership with a different promoter. And, people that you knew you could talk to get in now are no longer there. And you're rebuilding the networks. It seems like a little bit difficult recently because of the shift of like what's open, who's not, who's your contact, and we know we have something to offer. But then sometimes they don't answer your emails, and it's hard to get any response.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, one too many venues that have booking coordinators in the city that are notoriously difficult to get a hold of, and like I'll be talking with people, and like from my perspective on the end of things that I do, thanks to like doing this podcast and playing in several bands of wide variety of genres, I know a ton of people. So usually when I'm like, oh, I know that this person's the booking person and they're not answering their email, but I'm friends with them on Facebook. So I can be like a real menace, but I can't like always suggest like, hey, I'm not going to give like some stranger your phone number, even though I have it. But I'll try to be like, hey, like maybe you should try to send them an Instagram request or something. Like, I know this is the person you're trying to get a hold of. But I think the point I'm basically trying to make with all of that is like, it really pays, I think, to be like as involved in the scene and try to know as many people as possible. Anytime you see a new person running sound or a new, whatever it is, like figure out who that person is, you know what I mean? And be cool with them. You know what I mean? Like there's two sound people I could think of in particular in the city. The first time I worked with them, like 10 years ago, I was like, this is a nightmare. Like they're really good at what they do, but they're fucking assholes.
Right.
But we became friends and I still work with them both on a regular basis. And I'm glad that I was just like, we'll get through this. Let's figure out how to be friends, figure out how to work together. And as they've moved across different venues, it's like, well, now I know this person. And in advance of a show, it could be like, hey, are you working at this venue this night?
Right.
Cool. And so you know who's going to be doing sound, who's going to be doing this. But that's just a matter of taking the time to make those connections. Connections are super important. But a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, I think sometimes people don't think about it, or they're just not super interested in being a part of that. They just kind of want to show up and play and let other people figure out the rest. But I don't know. I think like if you're a band on this level, you kind of have to wear way more hats than you should, but that's just the reality of the situation.
I mean, like you said, you know, we're respectful to each other. We're kind to people. We're easygoing when it comes to sharing equipment. If we're headlining, I'll say to the drummer, if you want to use all my drums and cymbals, cool. If you want to bring your breakables, you know, like the show last week is like, oh, I didn't bring my hi-hat stand. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And to me, especially with, you know, sharing equipment, especially if you're headlining or whatever, I just think that treat people the way you want to be treated, and we generally do that across the board, right? And you know, we've done some shows where, you know, maybe we haven't received that level of, you know, kindness, or, you know, bands that maybe haven't sort of, you know, who are you sort of thing, and we don't. Our vibe is more, we want to help everybody as if we can, and there's not sort of that level of we think that we are trying to outclass anybody, because we're not. We're just there for the music, we're there for the night, and if we can help you with something, then we will.
It goes back to that concept of having like a professional
1,000%.
attitude about things. You know, I know that like everybody dreads like the pre-show group chat where like all the bands get put together, and like even when I get, I'm like, fuck. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, well, at least somebody cares enough to put this together. All right, let's figure out, are we doing any gear sharing, getting this stuff figured out in advance of the thing? Because if you have 4 bands that show up to Poetry Lounge with drum sets, your night's going to take 2 hours longer than it should.
And where are you going to put them?
Exactly. That's the thing. Is like,
you are not putting 4 drum kits.
Yeah, you know, like that's, you know, like I would be like, hey, like I don't know if you've played here before. I have, like from my experience, it generally works if we get a shared back line and figure this out. Now, if for some reason you're playing this ridiculous drum kit and you need to do this fancy, that's fine, but you guys are either opening or closing because everybody else is using the kit. So we got to work this out in advance. And it's not, again, like you said, it's not trying to be like an outclassing or like being a control freak or anything like that. It's just like, look, down the road, if I didn't do this, you're going to be complaining that half the night was spent with people doing changeovers and no music happening. Yeah. And the people that come out to that show, especially like people that aren't used to going to underground DIY shows, they might be like, why is it taking so long for the bands to play? I came here to see bands play. Right. You know, you got to make it fun. Yeah. Keep the fucking thing going. Keep the beat going.
Yeah. I mean, Chad is, again, we go back to the bass players, call him the director, but you know, he's the guy, every has got the set list printed out, has got the, you know, the architecture of that night and how it's going to go, and you know, thinks about the level of professionalism. Even when we play our sets, you know, we'll play 3 songs straight, and Cassie will talk to the crowd. Okay. And then at that point we're back in. So, you know, everybody knows the start, knows the finish, and there's not this sort of mindset of like, what are they doing? Are they playing? Are they not playing? Or whatever? And you know, for the longest time,
nobody wants to watch your band practice. Like, we want to see a show.
But it's interesting though, because not every band has that mindset, right? That not everybody sort of thinks about that. And again, I think, you know, this credit goes to Chad, because he's the one that meticulously makes us sort of that next level of professionalism, where we want to be able to not think about it. Even though we're probably thinking about every single song.
Honestly, it just makes it more comfortable for everyone, and you can let go more when you like know exactly what you're expected to do in what order and where you're taking breaks and all that. It helps me, because sometimes I do have a hard time like not interacting with the crowd when I'm on stage. I feel okay when I'm on stage and there's that fourth wall, but like even just talking one-on-one, like between sets with people, that's something that I struggle with. So the more I can work on my stage presence and really feel that when I get off stage, that helps. And by having an organized set, it just makes everyone feel more confident.
Yeah. I find that like whenever I play shows, I tend to kind of, it's sort of like an out of body experience to some degree, right? Like, or I don't know, like I'm there, but I'm like very much like in the moment thinking about the songs, and I don't want to have to be caught up with thinking about anything other than performing in that moment. I don't want to have to be worried about what anybody else is doing. What's the next song that we're playing? How long is this taking? Like, I like having it on rails as much as possible, just so I could just focus on just the performing side of things. You know, I don't want to have to also be production manager and front man at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, that's a nightmare. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I still have to do that, but you know, rock and roll, baby.
Some people are just so like free when they're like performing on stage though. Like they can take like a minute or two to talk about a story for something, and then they'll just do another song or two, and then they'll talk again for a little bit. And I don't know, I feel like I need a little more structure. But I mean, I'm like, gonna say something real silly.
Even that is probably structured to them. Like that's their structure, you know? I think that I think overall it's just like
also, people don't want to hear your life story when you're on stage.
It depends. It depends. It depends.
Depends on the story too.
I find that I have a really hard time when I am on a bill with bands or if I'm just at a show and there's like that certain lack of giving a shit
Sure.
that really gets under my skin. It's like, sure, maybe and we keep bringing up poetry. Shout outs to Sean and everybody. We love them to death. But they're the metaphor for tonight. Even if we're at poetry, and it's like, sure, maybe this isn't that serious of a situation. We don't need to be whatever, like so worried about all of the details and the back line. But in my head, I'm like, look, there are so many talented bands in the city. And if you don't give a fuck, somebody else should be playing the show,
1,000%.
not you.
1,000%.
Like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
Wasting my time, wasting these other bands. If you don't want to be here, go home.
Sure.
I'd rather have one less band on the bill.
Yeah, that makes sense. And again, to us then, it doesn't make a difference on the size of the venue because we're delivering the same product every time or the same experience. But there could be times where, I'm feeling the vibe or we're going to play a song that we know is sort of maybe a song that's going to get everyone going. And I'll stop. No, everyone come forward. 3 steps. We're going to jump. We're going to raise the roof. We're going to lose our minds on this song. And I'm happy to make that call. And the accent helps. Right, for sure. And I'll utilize that wherever I can.
What accent?
Wait, what? No. But that goes back to just, how am I feeling in that room? How am I feeling that venue? Because if that to me makes sense, then I will stop and bring everyone. But it's only for the love of, like, everyone's going to have an even better time now because everyone was a little bit nervous or they didn't want to move forward. Now, I'm telling you to come forward. It's cool and you can let go. Then we'll play a song and all of a sudden people go crazy. That's what we live for. Like, just that moment of, like, we just created something even better.
Sure.
And it's because we give a shit. It's because we care. It's because we want it to be the best we can.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a moment of, like, genuine human connection, not just like
1,000%.
not just like, look at us. It's like, you're not watching a movie. Like, this is a raw, organic thing.
And it's not even about us. Like, as a band, it's about all of us in the room.
Course.
We've got this moment together where we're just going to make it the best we can and we're going to kick off and it's going to be epic.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that I kind of will read the room when I think it's the right call and it's the right time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I get up and I get on the microphone and what's happening? but it's for the good of the vibe of that particular song or the energy or whatever. But
and everyone would rather hear him say it than me.
But I think it's a fun balance. I like how you present. And I love the way he adds.
She does a
into
mean
it.
English accent though, so
She does.
She
Yeah,
can
she does.
pull it off. It's not just about me.
Yes. So he does a seriously good French accent that I think he should bring up more, just to throw people off.
Nobody needs to hear that.
You'll be French. I'll be British.
There you go. Just throw everybody off. Yeah.
I think that it's really important as a performer to remember that the people that are coming out to the show are likely coming for the same reason that you're going to play the show.
Oh, 1,000%.
Like, we're all trying to have this moment together.
Yep.
Like, why would we be leaving our homes at all and coming to this particular place if not for looking for that thing? But it is, our responsibility as performers to kind of kick that off.
Well, and deliver it.
Yeah.
And deliver on it.
Totally. Yeah.
Because,
of course.
To me, it doesn't matter, but I think if all of us in the band knows that somebody's going to that show for the first time or they're going to that show because they couldn't make the last one or whatever, I think all of us play just that little bit harder. And just that hope that we are going to sort of meet and exceed their expectations, not because we're short on what we're doing, but we created a really good vibe or an atmosphere or an experience that, maybe they want to tell their friends to come back next time. And that we run into that a lot where bands haven't seen us and they were just like, that was so fun. That was so, like, I really enjoyed it. And that we're done. Like, we dropped the mic. I'm good at that point.
Yeah.
Because what more do you need than that?
Yeah, I know it's kind of weird to say, but like we talked about earlier about being undefinable rock, but there's also like a danceability. I think we try to keep like there's a groove to it that
sure, like the pop side of things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A little party vibe.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that there's been along with the subdivision of rock into 1,000 things, almost the opposite has happened with the term pop, where when people talk about pop in the past 20, 25 years, it means very specifically like that, hyper manufactured, Max Martin, Taylor Swift,
Mhm.
Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, whatever, type of pop. But there is like an element of pop if you go back to rock with a lot of names that I don't even have to say. Just go to Walmart, look at the shirts. They're all there.
Mhm.
That was a really bad example, but you know what I mean. But trying to bring that back and be less chaotic with the subdivisions of rock, but being more willing to divide pop and what it could be and bring those things together.
Oh, I want to write the ultimate pop song. We're getting
and I
closer.
We have one in the
We're
works.
getting closer.
Yeah, I'm one for fighting for the ballad. And it's
We still haven't. We don't.
we
have
haven't
one.
Well, we
got
have.
it yet. Well, kind of.
So the new EP that we're doing, I think we because the other two, like the first album was just to get a set together of 10 songs, and then the next one just kind of wrote itself, and it was all. I think Chad puts it's a 20-minute workout CD.
I mean,
it's like
fast.
straight rock.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we did make the attempt to say that's pull back a little bit and do a ballad. So that was the attempt. I don't say it worked, but they're there. It
wasn't at 160 BPM, which is nice.
I feel like the new EP kind of still has the vibe that we were going for, though we didn't
agree.
quite make a ballad. It's like the water to the fire of the last EP.
Yeah.
So they kind of
Yeah.
they complement each other, and we're pretty excited about them.
Are we allowed to
But-
say what it's
songs.
called?
I think so.
You go for
Swimming in the Blue,
Yeah.
coming out probably in the spring or possibly the summer.
Yeah. And
Are you still recording, mixing, or is it's done?
Yeah, well, it's recorded. It's being mixed. So,
Okay, yeah.
So we're hoping for probably. Again, it's down to venues and availability and what makes sense, but probably a summer release is what we're targeting.
Yeah. And I tease them because we call it Swimming in the Blue, but with some of the songs, it turned into more of a motorboating in the blue. So it got a little more of the rock than. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying because it's like it wasn't the complete ballad.
It definitely still has some hard rock vibes.
It's definitely, yeah. I think I'm really proud of it. It's a good collection of songs that each one is very, very different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a power pop song in there. You've got a slow one. You've got a banger. You've got, it's just very different. But again, we're okay with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would love nothing more than somebody to listen to the first album and then listen to that and like, wait, how did you get there? We're like, no, we just did. And that's complimentary to us because we allow that freedom.
Yeah, I think that, if you are a band, I think that you should really utilize the discography of songs that you have as like a restaurant menu, right? Like everything on the menu shouldn't be the same. Otherwise, it's going to be a boring restaurant,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
You want to have variety, a sonic buffet, if you will.
Yeah, and I've seen that. And there's like bands that do some great stuff, but they get into their zone and never really get out of that zone.
Yeah, I think that, but that's also, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. If as a musician, like all I want to do is just write these
and they're
rock
fitting-
songs,
oh, yeah.
like like AC/DC is a very
Right.
easy example of a band that, hey, they figured out what they wanted to do, 70 million years ago, and they're still doing it. God bless them. But, it's just like, but for other people, maybe that's just not their creative intent. Maybe your creative intent is to be more of a, I don't know, like a David Bowie, where it's like, whatever the fuck I want to do, or a Radiohead, whatever the fuck I want to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think having 5 people with such different backgrounds and influences, we have to have that openness to try different things if we're gonna collaborate the way that we do.
Yeah, there's also a respect for each other, like a genuine element of like we're gonna push that song as far as we can, but if somebody is not feeling something, then it's quickly like, okay, let's move on. But me and Chad, the bass player, we get into, sort of pushing each other because he's like, you should try this on the drums. I'm like, it's not going to work. He's like, but you should try it. I'm like, I can, but it's not going to work. But you should try. I'm like, okay, I do. And then it doesn't work. And he's like, okay. But the point is that we're okay with that because it's just trying to raise the level every time.
Yeah.
In a way that did we know when we recorded it, we couldn't have made it any better. And whether that takes, 2 practices or 20 practices or 100 practices, doesn't matter. But we're doing it to make that the best that we can.
Of course.
And it happens with, Tammy and Dave on guitars, that they're trying to sort of not battle it out, but it just like complement how can we support each other?
Sure.
And then it all sort of ties into like, okay, now Cassie's written, the verses or the chorus or the bridge or whatever. How do we serve that? What changes do we need to pull back on or give that space on or if I'm going to do a fill? But what's interesting from my perspective, which sends Dave and Chad crazy, is that I do not play it off them. I play off the lyrics.
Oh, it doesn't bother me. That's a Chad thing.
It's just maybe a Chad thing. But to me, when I'm playing that song, it's all about the lyrics.
Because I do the same. It depends on the song because I follow lyrics too. Yeah.
It's not that I can't listen to the bass or the guitars, but to me, it's all about the vocals.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a matter of when you're composing a song and you got 5 different things going on, it all needs to dance and certain things should lock in with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I have a pet peeve when I hear songs where I feel like the lyrics were just an afterthought, where they were just kind of pasted on top of this thing that exists and there's no actual, these parts don't feel like they have intention of like, oh, we're writing a song. It's like, this is an instrumental that somebody wrote lyrics for versus like, oh, we wrote a whole song together.
Yeah.
And, you got to be able to be willing to take those opinions from other people, be open to ideas, be trustworthy of like, oh, like this person is coming at me with an idea. Like, oh, try this thing on the drums. And it's like, well, I don't think this is going to work. But I'm in a band with this person because I trust their idea. So let's at least hear it,
for sure.
and like, 9 times out of 10, maybe as the drummer, you're right. But every once in a while, I've been surprised where people have come to me with ideas for things that I'm bringing to the table. And I'm like, there's no way. But you try it and I'm like, you know what? Fuck, you were right.
Yeah,
son of a bitch.
And again, most of the time he is right. Most of the time,
he really is. Mostly, there's the occasional where like he'll do this guitar part. And I'm like, and it's like you're right. 90% of the time, it's like, okay, Chad, that was a pretty good idea. And there's the occasional there, it just falls flat. But that's the whole point of building songs is seeing what works.
The reason is always to improve the song.
Yeah.
So
of course,
how can you get mad at like we're trying to make it better? Right. It's.
Well, I tease Dan because he's like, can we just have like one song that has like a straight drum beat, like but he would even get bored because and even one of the recent songs he started with a straight drum beat and then changed it because he's gonna get bored. So you push yourself.
No, I do. I mean,
sometimes too, it'll be like some kind of crazy thing while we're just hanging out, and then Chad will be like, "Yeah, do that."
That's the thing.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Then I can't get mad because I created it.
It's your own fault.
Like, shit. I shouldn't have done that. I'm not going to practice it. And then what happens? We'll just be noodling around. All of a sudden, there'll be a bass line or I'll put a beat, and then something happens, and then we're like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then we're off. Yeah. But again, Chad will say the same thing. He writes these insane bass lines, and he's just like, "God, this really hurts." I'm like, "You fucking wrote it. It's not my fault." But
but it's cool.
It's fun times.
Yeah. I've been in a position where like when we write, we'll demo a lot of things, and like I'll like get some ideas down, record some stuff and send it off to somebody else, and they'll throw some things in. That way, whenever we're coming to a practice or whatever, we have a much better idea of like what we're going to be bringing to the table. And there was one song in particular where our guitar player, it was in this, there was like a break of a section, kind of like a pre-bridge section where there wasn't really supposed to be any guitar in there. And he was going to come in when the bridge drops.
Right.
But he was just recording, and he was just doing these like weird scale things that he meant to cut out before the bridge, but he left it in and he sent it over, and it was like that thing you did was really cool. And he's like, what thing? And then showed it to him. He's like, oh, I was just fucking around. I'm like, that's in the song now, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I think that's like kind of the happy accident of creating things. Sometimes.
We've had a few songs written that way. We're like, what are you doing over there? Like I know there's one song that Tammy's, I'd say Queen of Swords was one where I think she unintentionally wrote that. She's just jamming on this riff in the corner. I'm like, what are you playing? And she's like, nothing. And I'm like, no, play that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it becomes the main riff of the song. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, even on, we have a song called Situationship, where I was playing the drums in my mind to You Can't Hurry Love by Phil Collins. So I'm just like, And Chad's like, oh, what's that? I'm like, well, it's just this. He's like, no, but just change this, do that, do this. Now all of a sudden, that's the main drum beat in that song.
Yeah.
Which then the guitars then come in, then the bass lines, and then Cassie wrote this, and it's one of our most popular songs. That's where it came from. I wasn't even thinking about a song. I was just like, dun, 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 dun. And that's, it just turned. And so I think that's, again, it goes to that anything can come from anything.
Yeah.
It's really just a matter then at that point of making sure that you're taking the time to be in the space to allow those things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Just get together once a week or whenever you can and just.
I get upset when we don't have practice. Like if one of us can't make it because of schedule, I'm like,
yeah. I don't think we can't really do practice without all of us. It doesn't really work.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
Of course not. I mean, you can maybe you can have like a social media strategy days where you create some film some TikToks or something or whatever the kids are doing.
Yeah, and that's one of the neat things about this band too is that it is definitely the five of us. I can't, the five fit together, we'll work together, and we all enjoy it. I don't think we could do it with any piece missing.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think we all bring something different that's equally. It's an equal contribution,
of course.
And there is no difference in that level. Like it's the same no matter what. And I think that's where, in the 3.5 years we've been together, 4 years,
something like that.
It'll be going on 4.
Yeah.
4.
We started playing out in 22.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Late 22. Yeah,
almost 4 years, and happy to say we've never had an argument. We've never sort of got into a disagreement because. We're just not. We're not that serious. I mean, we're serious and committed, but we're not going to let something like this get to us.
Sure.
Well, I think. Chad, the director, I think early on he said, "Don't fall in love with any riff."
Oh, of course.
And it was a good way to put it because it's like that riff might be really cool, but we might adjust to it, or we might just throw it out. So it's like, and it really is that way because we really do just bounce stuff off each other a lot. And
can't be attached to. Any
Don't love that entirely.
Yes, it's a good Zen story.
Yeah, I think that you need to, with creativity, like you really don't know what's going to happen. It's this weird thing where you're in control, but you're not in a weird way. There's something else in the air. I'm not smart enough to explain what it is, and I don't even know if I want to know what it is. It's just magic, right? There's a magic in the air. If you get the right people and the right energy together, and I think after doing it for so long too, before you even start a new band, you kind of probably had the idea of like, oh, this person's going to work or not going to work just based off of that energy of being in a room with them. That's a lot different than when you're like 18 and just desperate to put a band together.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we had 2 guitarists that just didn't work out, right? And that's it wasn't personal to them. It's just their vibe and their sound and their energy and their sort of creativity just didn't work. But when Tammy joined, we were like, we're good. Like, and it wasn't, it's not about, we're not assessing musical talent. We're not here to who's going to shred and do the best sell. Like, nobody cares, right? We want to serve the song. We want to put out good music and have a good time and people come to our shows, but we're not, if the 5 of us are not in sync, the rest of it doesn't matter.
Sure. I've seen plenty of bands where it's like, what is being played technically is good. But I don't believe that any of you are friends. Right. I don't believe that anybody's getting together here. And like, this is like, there's a weird situation where it's like, you don't have to be friends, but I'm just not tuning into like y'all actually being a group of people or a band. This just feels more like something where, I don't know, it could be any situation where like maybe there's 2 songwriters and they got a bunch of fill-in people and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know. I like seeing bands and groups that where it's like, I could tell that they're all good friends and they're all vibing together and they've written these songs together. The energy, it's just different. There's something about it that you could just see.
Yeah, like if I make a mistake or I drop a stick or whatever, I will get the look from one of them.
I'll giggle at them.
At the same time, it's that's a good recovery, or I didn't make a mistake or whatever. Or if one of us makes a mistake, which happens, it's okay.
It's rock and roll.
No one's gonna lose sleep. No one's gonna lose their mind. But
and probably nobody does anyway.
Right? Yeah. That's what I learned as a drummer. You don't stop. You just keep going, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, there's something that's kind of, I don't know. Sometimes too, I've seen maybe sometimes on like a more independent, underground, local level, but like go to like a big show and I see people that are like so good at playing that I'm just kind of like falling asleep.
Yeah,
It's just kind of like this is like everything's too perfect here. I don't really feel like I'm engaging in a human event here.
Right.
This is
Right.
I'm not, but that's just me. I'm just, I kind of like the
middle of the
I like the
Your
rough
rawness,
edges,
yeah.
it just it feels more human, It's just like I like seeing people kind of struggle and try in a way. You could tell that like there's something really human about that.
Mhm.
My drummer in one of my bands, his mom did a painting of him years ago playing the drums.
Okay.
And like I don't think she's like really a formally trained artist. And he was kind of like talking about this painting in a way where it's like look at this, like this is kind of funny, it's so bad. And like to me, I'm like, you know what? I actually love that painting because it's like it's a genuine human expression. It's like the technical details don't matter. Good or bad doesn't matter. It's like the intention is so positive and so human that means so much more to me as a viewer than somebody that like knows what they're doing. Like totally to a point where it's just like picture perfect. Like who cares?
Well, sometimes it's funny that if one of us make a mistake that we recover, get back into it, and then it's more impressive that we've not sort of skipped a beat, even though we're all like, oh, why did I do that? Or what happened? So I think that human element is even better than, like you said, that pure robotic performance where everything is perfect.
Sure. Especially like, with in the age that we live in with a lot of modern technologies and, we don't need to get into it. It exists things. It's just like, what can you really trust anymore that you're seeing, that you're hearing? It's like, I love a fuck up just because it's like, well, at least I know that's a human being. That's flesh and blood in front of me right
and
there.
there's also that point where you get to a venue and you don't have monitors, or you the sound system's maybe not the best, and I've played shows where I can barely hear the vocals, and you're just holding on for dear life. Like, did I get that part right? You're like, can I hear it enough? And you're sort of struggling not to do the show, but just to hear the vocals or whatever.
Of course.
Yeah. And so I think there's something sort of cool about that. Not that I would take that over not having a monitor, because obviously that's super helpful. But at the same time, that's kind of, you play good shows with maybe that aren't the most up-to-date venues or don't have all the equipment, but it's still a good show.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of rawness is pretty cool.
Yeah, you were talking about, even with like, whenever you're thinking like touring bands and bigger stages, like even like, if you get to see something at PPG Arena, I'd rather see all the musicians on stage. I'd rather see the live aspect, because you still get that where you'll see a band and you're like, I'm hearing another guitar, but I'm not seeing him. Or
sure, like the Green Day thing where they have like half the band hidden behind the stacks.
Just bring them out. It's okay that you have extra people play. I'd rather see the humans playing it as to hiding somebody in the back.
Yeah. That's kind of like, I'm not going to get into the politics of any of that. We don't have time for that. But it's, I really, really value like the human experience of art in like every aspect that makes it human.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think we're going to lose it anytime soon, especially not in the world of rock and roll. But it's a fear,
Yeah.
That's legit.
especially from the perspective of, again, that person that's not the artist, like the normal person that we're trying to get to come out to a show to build the community. Like making sure that there's still an appreciation from their perspective of underground art, human beings, people fucking up, like making sure that if they come out to a gig and maybe the sound isn't the best, or maybe somebody fucks something up, that they can see a beauty in that instead of being like, well, that band fucking sucked, or it sounded horrible. That's what's great. I don't know. Maybe I'm a freak.
They have the balls to get out there and go up there and put themselves out there,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's, again, like, it's a crazy mountain that we're all climbing here,
But we're climbing it. And I think that's, not that it would matter to us, but I would say as a band, like, we're not necessarily looking for feedback, good or bad. It's just turn up and have a good time. We're almost not taking it too seriously. Like, you could look at people, maybe look at online reviews, or, they'll hit you, hear something about, and maybe us as a band, we're not for everybody. But I can categorically guarantee that we'll turn up, we'll give it 1,000%, we'll have a great time. What the music we'll deliver on will be, 100%. And I think that's the same at every show because we've got that level of commitment.
Of course.
But if it's not for you, that's okay. Like we're not, I think people just get caught up in the seriousness of like, online views and clicks and, all those pieces. And to us, we're just not going to get that bent out of shape and lose our mind if we're not this picture perfect, ideal band. But from a live perspective, if we're hearing people, clapping and cheering and at the end of the set, they're screaming, play one more. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
we can do that and we will. And it's great when it happens.
Yeah, I've never, at least that I'm aware of, I've never received like a negative comment from somebody that I would want to hang out with or have a beer with. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing where it's like, we're obviously not here to be a part of each other's world, and that's fine. The world is a big, big place, and
you can't please everybody.
You can go to another,
totally okay with that.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, people have a good time, enjoy the music, let go, and really, walk away going, that was a great night, great band, great music. I wanted to go that again, and we created the moment, right?
Yeah.
And that's go back to what you said before. That's how, to us, then we succeeded because that person, that group of people, whatever, had a good time, and maybe they bought a CD, maybe they bought, they got a merch, whatever, but we don't force that upon people, yet we still sell a good amount of merch. And I think that, again, is testament to, they had a good time and they want to represent us.
Hell yeah.
Which is perfect.
Yeah. That's really all we can ask for.
Yeah.
So you got the new EP that's going to be coming out sometime in this summer, spring, summer, fall, winter, who knows? It always takes longer than we want it to, if we're being honest, but I wish you all the luck with sticking to your release schedule.
Yes.
Whatever it may be. You have any gigs or anything coming up in the next month or two that we could talk about? Or is this a secret?
We have Dan's 50th birthday party.
Oh, hey, happy birthday.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
That is April
18th
at Fermata Brewing in Ambridge. It's
Cool.
a free show.
That's going to be a fun show.
All ages. And we are playing with Inco Fido, and we're going to collaborate a little bit, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that's we've never played that venue before, but we're excited because it's a pretty big venue anyway from a size perspective, but where all like the big barrels of beer, they move all that out and the bands go in there and they put the drums on risers and stuff, and they've spent a good amount of money on sound system in there to make it sound really good. And so as it came to my 50th, I'm like, well, be with friends and family, be with bands that I love, in a brewery. I mean, check. like, what better way is there to spend my 50th than doing that? I'm like, this is perfect. Yeah. And obviously, we're pretty tight with Inco Fido, and they're a great band. And I asked them if they were playing, they were like, would love to. So again, to get somebody like them involved is going to be fun. And again, it's all ages, so if people want to bring their kids, they can, and sort of we can do this release. But we also we'll see, we may play a couple of songs off the new EP live for the first time.
Oh boy.
I mean, just officially putting it out there. If you want to see some new stuff, you may want to check us out. But yeah, I mean, we're going to have a good time. And a good friend of mine said to me, so you're going to play at your own 50th and you're going to play with your band? Aren't you going to be drunk? I'm like, yeah. I mean, there's probably a good chance that's going to happen
after we play. We're gonna monitor him until we play.
Cap me off. 2 beers and we'll be done.
Yeah, we have a 3 beer limit a 2 or 3 beer limit on our drinks, but we'll up it to 5 for your birthday.
Whoa,
maybe give me. Yeah, I mean, because again, it goes back to what we were saying. Like, we will normally have 2 or 3 beers and then we stop, and then we'll do the show, and then afterwards, we'll have. The last thing you want to do is go to a venue and see the band is hammered, and so it'll be a good time. But yeah, I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate my 50th with friends and family, and in a venue with Inco, and I've also got people coming in from Florida, Texas, Arizona. I mean, it's definitely going to be a good show.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, I want to thank you all for coming by today. It was great to meet everybody. Look forward to seeing you at some point. Who knows when that'll be? My band has a show on the same night as your show.
Oh, no.
Because as we were talking about. That's
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't know if the world of death metal and Stereo Scandal are gonna be. We don't have to worry about cross pollinating too much there.
We'll be
That
okay.
could be a fun show at some point, though. You never know.
Hey, hey, I'm down to mix the pot. That's fine. But yeah, before we completely send this off, does anybody here want to let people know where to find your music? I imagine it's just on the internet, but you
At
can
a
say it
show.
yourselves. We're at a show.
Yeah.
Yes, come to
Yeah.
a live show, or you can find us on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. We're working on it. We post every once in a while there, special stuff. Stereo Scandal everywhere.
Yeah, and the music is on Bandcamp also.
Yeah,
So if you wanna-
Spotify,
Spotify,
Bandcamp.
yeah.
Apple Music,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Amazon,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the streaming services. It's out there for sure.
Very, very cool. Well, again, thank you all. And I'm going to do my outro.
Okay.
That is all, folks. One more time. Stereo Scandal. Make some noise.
Thank you.
I'll be back again next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Brian Sykes-Howe. Start the Beat is the podcast. 2026 is the year. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you. Peace out. We did it. That was a podcast.
Beautiful.
Woo! Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That was cool.
Smooth sailing.